Here with Schilling Development representing Hickory Terrace LLC. We have been before you over the last several months. We actually started coming in last fall with this project. It began as 53 lots on 55 acres and is now 52 lots on 55 acres. This is a joint venture between the Munich family and the Schilling family, as you said, on the north side of 93rd across from Prairie West Park. We have named the project the Continental due to the fact that it is at the highest, one of the highest points in St. John, essentially has a continental divide running through the middle of the property. So we're highlighting the features of the land and the hills, along with a lot of the woods and wetlands that we are maintaining with the executive size lots. The property was originally zoned R1. We did come in and receive the rezoning to RC1 PUD, which still allows us to follow all of the R1 requirements, the 20,000 square foot minimum size lot, which we have met or exceeded on all of the lots, 100-foot minimum width, which we've met or exceeded on all of the lots. The reason for the PUD was to allow us to have private roadways, which would allow us to have a security gate at the entrance. So tonight we're seeking primary plat. I know we've worked with Mr. Kraus on the plat itself. A couple of the minor items. The roadway itself is now designated as a, well, there's the plat, the private, I'm sorry, egress and public utilities easement. So that allows for private roadways and also allows the town access to the sewers and water main if there was service required. We have designated also a first phase of the project, which would be lots 1 through 17. It would include, obviously, the entrance on 93rd and straight into the long cul-de-sac to the west. It would include an emergency access road out to Knickerbocker, and it would also include all of the improvements on 93rd Avenue. We're essentially adding curb and sidewalk along the entire north side of 93rd Avenue and widening 93rd to essentially a 3-lane road with center turn lanes. Other than that, I don't know if there's any other specific questions. Doug Reddick is also here from DVG. We have there, yeah, so there's the crosswalk that we've agreed to install at 93rd Avenue. This would be a public crosswalk with a button that could press the signal that you wanted to cross there. I'm going to check the next slide. There's the signage on each side of the entryway, a brick wall with the logo above it. Next slide. This will be the bridge as you come in, separating the two lakes. Will essentially be a pumped portion of the road that will be done in a paver brick or stamped concrete. So kind of be a symbol of the entry as you come in. And then the next, here's the artist rendering. We've actually hired a landscape architect and ecologist that has worked with us. Again, we're constructing 2 large ponds on each side of the entrance road coming in. Those act both as a visible barrier to 93rd, but also a detention. The ponds work in conjunction with each other and then actually work with the existing pond or wetland that is on site, so the 3 of them work in conjunction to store an enormous amount of water. We do have off-site drainage coming into the site from both the east and the west. Right now it's basically unimpeded. It comes into the site, it flows right through and goes across or under 93rd into the Prairie West Pond. So as we develop this, we'll be able to control the water, both the off-site water and the on-site water, and be able to store quite a bit in these 3 ponds and then control the release going off-site. I think that was basically it. I brought the drainage areas if you wanted to talk about that, but other than that, if there's any specific questions, I'll attempt to answer them at this time, or if you'd like to open it to the public, either way. Any questions before we go to the public portion? Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. Want to
call your name, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Adrian Bugario.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Adrian Bugatti, 11747 West 98th Avenue. Before this development shall ever take place, Munich has to return all the land that he attached illegally to his parents' property while he was lawyer of St. John, Indiana, since 1975, 74, whatever. No land shall be developed until he returns his land to the property owners, rightful owners, which he took away from them, including me. Secondly, we don't want a gated community. The animals were here, and we want them to roam as free as they were before we came here. I'm an animal lover, and I want that to be respected. Thirdly, if you people do not listen to what I said, that Munich should return to all of the property owners the acreage that he took away from us, 116 feet by 200 feet from my property, which is the lot, I think, 21 and 22 are right behind me, because they are both 100 feet wide, so it's 100 feet. And also to the rightful owners of the surrounding properties. No development shall proceed until this is done.
Robert Truly. Truly, sorry.
Truly here. My name is Robert Truly, and I live at 9082 Knickerbocker Street, St. John. And my concern on Knickerbocker Street, they were surveying for the gate just the other day. And I want to make sure that no construction trucks will enter through there. Can I be guaranteed that?
I think we can work on a no construction traffic sign out the back, yes.
There won't be any.
We can make a restriction that nobody uses it.
Keeping in mind.
Except while construction is actively occurring right at that gated
Yeah,
area.
that's my problem. Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
I'm just being
Put the
sure.
gate up, yeah.
Because there was some discussion about pulling the gate back and creating an area to push the snow.
We'll address that, yes.
Okay, so there will be some construction there, but overall, I think the construction traffic is going to come in off of 93rd Avenue.
Yes.
Overall or all?
Can't say all because of the construction.
At the gate,
At the
other
gate.
than the construction at the gate.
I would say you don't have anything to worry about, but that's just me. I did hear,
It's not a definite.
they,
We'll do our best to keep all traffic, I'm not gonna post a guard out there, but we'll.
Well, if you have the gate up and it's shut a
Yes,
lot.
absolutely.
I don't know how they
We're
would
not
do
gonna
that.
encourage any of our guys to use that, that's correct.
Okay. Your guys are all the constructors? I mean, okay.
you can never say all, that's all I'm saying.
My other concern, not necessarily mine, but I talked to a nice gentleman over at Public Works Planning. I don't know his name. I don't know if he gave it or I forgot. But we had a good conversation. It was very good, very courteous, and explained things. And I just want to bring it up for you. My house, when it burned down a year and a half ago, blew 3 water mains. Now they're going to make a loop for the new subdivision. And I just want to get it on record. Those water mains are not all that great. They've blown before, not just for my fire. There's a lot of zippers out there on those mains. So it's on the record, okay?
Sir? Okay, that was all that signed up. Was there any, oh, I'm sorry, were you finished?
I reckon so.
I'm sorry, I thought you were walking away. That's all that signed up. Was there anything else?
I thought it maybe I sent the wrong sheet.
Yeah, if you want to speak to this one.
Hi, Brian Kruger, 11711 West 90th St. John. Last time I was here, when you were talking about it, I'd have to look at that plat. You go back to the plan. My house has a very shallow backyard. It backs up to 22, and we had had a discussion about having a 20-foot side easement there instead of a 10-foot side easement. I wasn't sure if that would be reflected on this plan or someplace else. I just want to make sure that doesn't get lost in communication along the way.
15 feet is what's shown on that, on the plat, on that. that as large as possible. It's 10 feet is what's required, and the request was to make that as large as possible. The plat reflects that it's 15 feet.
We did indicate that. And that doesn't mean that somebody's gonna build right up to it, but at least no more, no closer than
Is
50.
it possible to make it 20, 15 feet? It's awful close right there.
Well, and as it sits on that lot, they actually show it as a rear yard easement. It's gonna be, we don't know how the house is gonna be situated on that lot, but realistically, it'll be probably more up at the road, so.
In that case, 20 feet shouldn't be an issue. Can we call it 20 feet?
What's the setback on here?
The setback, all of the lots have a variable setback on the front, so it's 25 to 40, somewhere in that range off of the road. So again, it depends on the size of the house and how it's situated on the lot.
Mr. Chairman, I thought we put a number on it and try to reference actually Mr. Kennedy's bringing it up. I thought we put a number on that setback as well as the zoning.
I thought I did too, and I thought it was 15.
But I'm not sure.
I thought they were gonna research and get back to us. What is, you said it's 15 feet now?
It's 15 feet, that's what the plat, the proposed plat reflects is 15 feet.
Which is more than the minimum. The minimum would be 10. So
Minimum is 10.
we intentionally put that line on there because you requested it.
I can switch to a different screen to show the plat.
I'd just like to point out that drainage easement is different from the setback line. So what's shown on the drawing, I wasn't aware of 20 foot. What's shown on the drawing for an easement would still be all right. I think he's asking to be sure that the house is closer to 20 feet to the side.
Yeah, it's actually, Ken's right, it's shown as a 15-foot drainage easement here, which means you can't, it's effectively at least a side yard setback or a setback because you can't build on the easement. So that functions as right now as a 15-foot setback. It can be more than that, but that's what's shown here.
And I guess I'm asking, can it be 20 feet?
We split the difference at 18 and a half.
if 18 and a half is 18 feet is what we can get, then we'll do 18 feet.
We can live with it. The problem is that the houses are trying to put up there, and on that particular lot, presumably rate, I can't tell. We can hold that was one of the lots that we had the option to vary.
So this is my lot, which is already pretty, it's not very deep. So my house is sitting right about here. I've got a very shallow short backyard as it is, so that's where kind of just trying to space the two houses is kind of important.
We can go to 18.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wanted to speak on this public hearing?
Please.
This is for Continental.
Thank you. Dean Tammy, 9238 Old Town Avenue, St. John. I have several questions, points, whatever you want to call it. I'm just wondering why exit, entrance, access would be at Knickerbocker as opposed over by Wall Street, where you would have onto Patterson Road more of a main artery. I mean, if you have an emergency situation and so on and so forth, why are you coming out on basically a dead-end road and a gate, nevertheless? That's one thing. Another point which you guys have been pushing as far as this, and I want to say I am pro-development, I think it's a great idea and so on and so forth. happy with the fence idea. You have animals, you have deer, St. John, I mean, there's other high-end developments in town, like Rosewood and Lake Hills, no fences. Everybody seems to be pretty happy and so on and so forth. And if you're gonna be having a high-end development such as this, and a little bit I've heard about pricing on lots and stuff like that, you know, I'm gonna spend, I'm halfway interested in investing myself. I'm gonna spend whatever I've been hearing, anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 on a lot. Do I really want a chain link fence in my backyard, even though it doesn't show from somebody else? And the chain link fence itself, they're talking about it being invisible. Yeah, maybe so to a certain extent when there's foliage. There's not foliage for about half of the year, so you'd be looking more at a chain link fence, and a lovely chain link fence. That's for what you guys are talking about proposing here and developing. It seems cheap to me. And that's pretty much it. I just think the major thing for me is access out to Wall Street, Patterson Road. If you're gonna have an access, make it, if you have an emergency or whatever you need it for, wouldn't you be much better off having your access at Knickerbocker, or not Knickerbocker, but out on a street like that where you're close to 41, you're close to Patterson, if you have to get somebody at the hospital, Dyer, whatever, whatever the case may be. I just think Knickerbocker is a poor idea. You know, that's all I have to say. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to make public comment? You already spoken. Any other public comment? Final call. Bring it back to board.
So I would like to address a couple of those items, and I should have talked earlier about the fence. So I know Mike presented one of the meetings regarding the fence, and we've gone back and forth. Originally, we were talking chain link. We now are planning to do a wrought iron or aluminum vertical fence on all of the areas that are not conservation easement. So basically, the only piece of chain link would be this stretch right here along the conservation easement, and then this stretch here along the conservation easement. Everything else that's adjacent to residences all along here will be the wrought iron. It will be a 6-inch picket spacing, allows quite a bit of wildlife to pass back and forth through the fence. Whatever doesn't go through either goes over or goes under. So that's the fence plan. You did mention that you knew about the gate, the back gate, as opposed to being right at the end of Knickerbocker, is now pulled in about 50 feet. And we've actually planning to construct a small turnaround at the end of Knickerbocker, which there isn't one now. So anybody that goes down Knickerbocker has to turn around in one of the residence driveways there. So we're going to pull the fence, the gate into our property about 50 feet and construct a small turnabout of asphalt there. That also solves the snow plowing problem that somebody brought up. Where are they going to put snow at the end of Knickerbocker? So we've left some space there to do that. We are providing a water loop tying into Knickerbocker, as the one gentleman mentioned. That's just good water system pressure for everybody in the subdivision, and it actually should help in the long run with the residents to the north if the water main can survive up there. But basically, we're providing a loop through our system to what is now a dead end main.
But Jack, your development is not dependent upon that.
No, that's really a secondary fee for us.
Right.
18-foot, I wrote